I hope everybody had a fantastic WrestleMania weekend. I know I did. It was unbelievable being in Philly. We'll get into that a little bit. But my guest today, making his return to the show, the politician. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dan, for having me. So happy to be here.
Yeah, no, we're happy to have you on. I have a couple questions. So how have you been? It's been a little while since we spoke. How's the politician been doing?
The politician has been doing absolutely great, Dan. Absolutely great. I've been just taking a look at things. Already, I have racked up 96 matches in less than 2 years of being a professional wrestler. So I am wanted. I am asked to be everywhere, all over New England. And in fact, I just came back from Maryland, where I wrestled down there.
Oh, wow. Okay. How was wrestling in Maryland?
Very, very good. Had a couple of big stars there. It was for the Assault Wrestling Alliance, the AWA. And on the marquee was Alexander Hammerstone, so he was there. And Alfonso, the old manager from ECW, he was there too.
Oh, Bill Alfonso, yes.
Yep. And as it turns out, the politician has a brand new volunteer in Alfonso. He's a big fan now.
Oh, nice. Does he still have his whistle?
Oh, yep, for sure. He still has the whistle. He's actually the commissioner of the AWA, so he's there every month for every one of their shows, and I'll be returning there in June.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really awesome. Now, you're wrestling all these matches, right? What is the training regimen for the politician? Obviously, you got to be ready for these matches. Is there anything that you do that keeps you going there?
Well, it starts off with saying my prayers and taking my vitamins and drinking my milk. But then it goes into light warm-ups, some stretching, doing some drills, and then the politician demonstrating the power of politics against all the other students at the Elite Pro Wrestling Academy.
Awesome. Now, I got to ask this, because I don't think we even talked about this before. What was the hardest part? Now, you've been a politician, you've been in government, all that stuff. What has it been like to transition from that into wrestling?
In my case, the transition has actually been pretty easy. Politics has prepped me in many ways for the squared circle. So for my over 10 years of experience in New Hampshire politics, I gained so many experiences and so many skills that translate very well into professional wrestling. For starters, in politics, I used to MC events. I used to give speeches. I speak in front of groups of people at rallies and forums and picnics and all sorts of things. So speaking in front of people and speaking in front of your audience in Merrimack Community Television, it's not such a big deal for the politician. The politician's very comfortable speaking to large groups of people. So it has helped there. The politician also brings the experience that he learned in politics to the squared circle. How to be crafty and how to achieve the end goals that you want, no matter the means.
Now, I got to ask this because, you've made the transition for politics. Now, politics can get kind of heated like pro wrestling. Have you ever been in a position, and you don't have to say names or anything, that you have wanted to body slam another politician? Have you ever been in a situation where you're like, I wish this was a wrestling match right now?
That's a very interesting question, Dan. Honestly, I may have thought such things or felt such ways about certain politicians in Concord, New Hampshire, but we're all elected to represent our constituents, and there's an obligation of decorum up there in Concord. So no matter how heated things get, the physicality the politician saves for the ring.
It's just for the ring. No, I respect that and totally understand. We got to be civil. The ring, in situations like this, can't be slamming people. Now I got to ask this because you talked a little bit about 96 matches a year. What have been some of the biggest matches that you've had recently, or just some matches that you were like, that was great?
Okay, a couple weekends ago, I was up in Maine. And I was in the main event of a fundraiser show, and you know Kid V, right?
Yes.
Kid V, yep. So Kid V's daughter goes to that school in Maine, and there's a fundraiser for her school. So Kid V was on the show. As it turns out, that was Kid V's 100th match. So he was very proud and honored to do his 100th match, have his family see, and do a fundraiser for his daughter's school. And it was interesting because Kid V's been doing this a long time, over 15 years or whatever. In the span of 2 years, a politician is already in his rearview mirror. So, Kid V, I'll be coming for you. But no, the main event, it was a tag team match. Excuse me. It was a tag team match between myself and NBK, the Natural Born Killer. And it was versus Cousin Larry.
Oh, okay.
And WWE Hall of Famer Tony Atlas.
Oh, okay.
And it's actually the third time I got into the ring with Tony Atlas, and you got to hand it to a man. They don't just hand out WWE Hall of Fames. The man, even though he's north of 70 years old, still in fantastic shape, still a great professional wrestler. I have nothing but the utmost respect for that legend Hall of Famer. Came up short in the main event a little bit, but quite the experience, and the crowd was great.
Now I got to ask this: So I'm guessing this crowd's going to be chanting for Tony Atlas. Mm-hmm. How does the politician deal with maybe the fans booing him or not being exactly the favorite that day?
Well, as a politician, you always want to listen to your constituents, but in the heat of the moment, if I'm in there with a tough competitor such as Tony Atlas, I just don't listen to the fans. I got to do the business at hand.
Awesome. Well, no, that's great stuff. And you've been having a lot of success. I've gone down and seen a few of the matches at Lucky Pro in Leominster.
That's right, yes. And I do want to thank you for buying some of the politician's merchandise. You can always support the campaign by buying the politician's merchandise at any of his shows that he appears on.
I got to ask this, though. Lucky Pro's so there's a wrestler there named Leo Sparrow.
Yes.
And everybody they were doing short videos for an upcoming event, and they all said Leominster wrong, like Leo Minster. I don't remember some of them.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Do people just not know how to say Leominster, or what's going on there? Scotty Slade kind of called them out a little bit, but...
Yeah, I mean, up here in New England, we do have a certain accent and a certain way of pronouncing some of our cities. It's not Worcester, it's Worcester. It's not Haverhill, it's Haverhill. There's still a debate here in New Hampshire about Wyndham, whether it's Windham or Wyndham, and even the townspeople there are doing it. The one that gets me is my hometown, Concord. Sometimes you hear radio ads or TV ads for businesses in Concord, and the person who's reading the copy always says Concord.
Yes.
And it just gets to you. But no, speaking of Leo Sparrow, I did have a funny interaction with him at one of those Lucky Pro Wrestling shows. So he comes out of the Creative Pro Academy in New York, and as you know, there's a podcast called Busted Open Radio.
Yes.
So right there in the locker room, Leo played a clip from the Busted Open podcast, and it was a good 70, 80 seconds of Bubba Ray Dudley talking about Leo Sparrow and saying, oh, this kid, he's the next big thing, keep an eye on him, nothing but a rocket ship, he's headed to the moon, he's great, and no argument from the politician, but when Leo was playing this clip back in the locker room and he finishes it, the politician, he had to ask Leo, I mean, how much did that cameo cost?
Yeah. No, I could see that. And speaking of Busted Open Radio, I just want to say that staying in my hotel over the weekend in Philly, because I know Mark Henry's part of that. Mm-hmm. I got to meet Mark Henry. Have you crossed paths with him at all?
No, not face to face. No, but one story that Mark Henry tells that is just amazing is that when he was a little boy and growing up in Texas, he went to a wrestling show, and Andre the Giant came out walking down the aisle, and the fans were going nuts, and they pushed a young Mark Henry over, and he fell over right at Andre the Giant's feet as he was making his entrance. Andre the Giant picked him up, put him over the barricade, and put him down in the seat. So just imagine having just a legend like that, having that kind of personal connection to him. So it's a very inspiring story, and when you watch the WWE's Hidden Treasures episode on Andre the Giant, Mark Henry talks about it and talks about like how deep the inspiration is for that man in his career.
Yeah, Mark. I mean, he what a nice guy. Honestly, he was. I mean, he was hanging out in the lobby a lot of the weekend. We saw Mark Henry numerous times, and then his son came in, who's a giant too in himself. You know.
Right.
But yeah, I just brought that because they were doing Busted Open Radio at the arena, 2300, and I didn't get to go see that obviously, but. Next time I go to Philly, I want to see the ECW arena, even just standing outside. Was the Politician a fan of ECW growing? I know we talked about Bill Alfonso a little bit here.
As it turns out, the Politician was pretty faithful to the WWE. He always made sure he watched that show. In terms of some of the other promotions that I was watching growing up, it was usually simply a matter of what was ever on some of the tapes that we got in tape trading. So my brother and I, we did trade some wrestling tapes, and there were usually compilations of different superstars doing different stuff in different promotions. And so largely, besides a couple of ECW pay-per-views and that, I don't have much recollection of ECW.
Sure, no. I you know how I found out how I got to watch it as a kid? Literally, they had invaded Raw that one year in '97. And then my social studies teacher that I had in 7th grade in '98 was a big wrestling fan. And he told me exactly how to find ECW. He's like, it's on at 12:30 on the Spanish channel Saturday nights. So I would, my parents, I guess, I had a TV in my room growing up. So I would have Shotgun Saturday night, and I'd flip, I was more to ECW, but then I could flip to Shotgun Saturday night. And I started watching ECW every week. And then they got the deal with TNN, but...
And he continued to be a teacher, having 7th graders watch ECW.
Oh yes, yeah, he did. I don't think he told everybody this, but it was kind of cool because he was the only teacher I ever had he was a huge wrestling fan. Mm-hmm. So, Mr. Miller, wherever you are now, you're awesome. I want to talk about this now though. I got to go to my 3rd WrestleMania this weekend in Philly. Anytime they're like within driving distance, I want to go. I got to ask, because we wanted to do a WrestleMania theme episode last week, then obviously the weather was out of control. But what was the first WrestleMania that you ever watched?
When I started watching wrestling, it was a Saturday night's main event, and it was actually the build-up for WrestleMania 8. The main event was Hulk Hogan and Sid Justice versus The Undertaker and Ric Flair. And Sid Justice turned on Hulk Hogan in that match, and the card for WrestleMania 8 was set. It was Hogan and Sid, and then it was Savage and Ric Flair and Taker and Snuka. WrestleMania 8 was the first WrestleMania that I watched when I got into wrestling.
That's the first one I watched too. Like, I think I saw 7 after the fact.
Yep.
Because the first thing I ever really remember watching was SummerSlam '91. And then we went into obviously, that Rumble. I think Sid Justice was justified. Hogan cost him the Rumble. How is how is he the good guy in this whole thing? Justice for Sid Justice. I know that Royal Rumble was a long time ago, but he robbed him. And then Undertaker faced Jake the Snake that year.
That's right, yes.
I think it was Snuka the year before. But I did go back because I remember in '91, so that's the first one I remember because I really remember my first match being Bret Hart and Mr. Perfect. I think I missed the opener at that SummerSlam. But I remember being so hyped up for the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan because they're in the main event. But yes, that WrestleMania, Savage and Flair, Ric Flair altering photos to say that he was with Elizabeth first.
Right.
And, yeah, that's funny. That's the first one I ever saw, too. Do you have a favorite WrestleMania?
the WrestleManias are long shows. For many years, they were at least 3.5 hours. Nowadays, they're like 2 different days. So, I have favorite like WrestleMania moments. It's hard to say that okay this WrestleMania all in all is my favorite one because no matter the WrestleMania, there's stuff in it that's like meh, and then there's a lot of stuff which is wow, this is great. One of my favorite WrestleMania moments was, of course, WrestleMania 18, The Rock versus Hulk Hogan. I had always been a Hulk Hogan fan, but I was so faithful to WWE that even in the Monday Night Wars, I was always watching WWE instead of WCW. So not even Hogan could do that. But he's back. He was back in the WWE, and I wasn't expecting the crowd reaction.
Toronto, yeah.
And the one thing I do want to say about that match that people like overlook is that they pulled off the most difficult thing that can be pulled off in professional wrestling. And they pulled off what's called a double switch, where in the match, The Rock went from a good guy to a bad guy, and Hogan went from a bad guy to a good guy. You never see double switches. They're very, very hard to do in wrestling. But, they pulled it off, and Hogan talks about it to this day, is that the head of the company back then, he told Hogan to bring it, thinking that, oh, Hogan's an old man and just collecting a paycheck. But people don't realize that Hulk Hogan is a pro's pro, very, very smart, and knows exactly what he's doing, and did bring it. And even at his age then, 10, 15 years past his prime, brought the WWE to a whole new level right after that WrestleMania.
That was incredible because they were chanting Rocky sucks, and that hadn't happened in years.
Right.
It had been about 4 years since anybody booed The Rock. My favorite switch, though, and it was a WrestleMania, was 13.
13.
Austin and Bret Hart.
Yes.
Because nobody, I went into that match as a kid. I was 12. I remember I was a diehard Bret Hart fan. Mm-hmm. And I started to, everybody was kind of jumping on the Stone Cold bandwagon, but I was with Bret until the end of the match when he wouldn't release the sharpshooter and he beat Austin down while he was already knocked out. And right in that moment, Bret Hart became the biggest heel. And I know he did the thing where he was the hero in Canada and the U.S. He was but man, Bret Hart, what a villainous move. You didn't expect that from him.
Right.
And, just that double that made Austin. I want to know this because I love this when it's good. Do you have favorite celebrity appearances at WrestleMania?
Ooh, good question.
And not the Bill Clinton impersonator.
Oh, shucks. I thought when they brought in Donald Trump, they did everything correctly when they did that. And it's the little moments that stick in people's minds and so forth. You're watching the show and you always suspect, okay, they're bringing in a celebrity like Donald Trump, that's great. What could possibly happen? And then in the middle of the match, Donald Trump tackles Vince McMahon and starts pounding on him. Totally unexpected and something very, very surprising, but very entertaining. And that one sticks out, and that was a good moment.
Them shaving Vince McMahon's head was like, what a moment that was.
Yes.
I thought, because when you talk about the celebrity wing of the Hall of Fame, and I'm not, and I don't want to get into the politics, no pun intended, of Donald Trump, but when you talk about like a celebrity Hall of Famer, he fits the bill.
Yes.
Not just for that, but he hosted 2 Manias. He'd always had a close tie with WWF.
Right. And they did this build-up where he was like the owner of Raw and dropping cash from the arena ceiling and so forth. And, he's in the Hall of Fame. He's a good kind of celebrity to bring into the WWE.
And just speaking of his politics, it's a lot like pro wrestling, you know?
Yes.
He cuts wrestling style promos, basically. Yeah, that's a great. I loved everything they did with Pete Rose, making the 3 consecutive appearances. Tyson,
yep.
I thought Floyd Mayweather did a great job with his match with the Big Show.
All things considered, yeah, that was pretty good.
That giant David versus Goliath match. There's been so many.
I would not have allowed one of Floyd Mayweather's bodyguards to go out there because one of his bodyguards was actually bigger than the Big Show.
Oh, was he?
Taller, heavier, bigger. So I wouldn't have allowed that. But other than that, yeah, you're right. It was he clocked the Big Show and hairline fractured his jaw. So.
Yeah, I mean, that match was better than I anticipated it to be. And, that was a great time. And Floyd was, they were not liking Floyd Mayweather. They were not. Hall of Fame also, did you watch the Hall of Fame inductions?
I did, yes.
There was, I want to focus more on Paul Heyman. Now, he opened. What did you think of the headliner opening?
It was interesting, but you say headliner. I mean, the WWE has so many different fans, so people tuned in to watch the Hall of Fame to see whoever their favorite was get inducted. So I realized he was the headliner, but him going first wasn't a big deal. I thought he did a very, very good speech, and my only feedback for it, and this is kind of a overall feedback for all of WrestleMania weekend, is the cussing. The WWE is experimenting with like outright really bad word cussing and this and that. The politician personally doesn't believe in that sort of setting. I believe what I was always taught is that like when you swear, it makes you sound stupid. So use better words, use better communication.
I agree. I mean, in Heyman, obviously he's known for ECW, so I think he was probably trying to be a little edgy in Philly. But it is WrestleMania weekend. There's a lot of, where I sat, every time there was a parent with their children, I don't think they need to hear his ending. So I definitely agree with that. But he's definitely, because I want to ask this. It's now on Friday night after SmackDown, so it goes a little late.
Yeah.
Do you think they need to change that, or because I did talk to people that were there, they said not many people left.
Yeah.
But do you think it's hard to keep the audience there when you're starting the Hall of Fame at? Even The Rock, he goes, yeah, we all need to go home and go to bed. And I'm watching him like, oh, man, I'm actually part of it this weekend. I got to go to bed too, But with everything going on, you got SmackDown, NXT right away the next day. Then you got Mania Night 2, Raw. Like, do they need is this the perfect way to do it, or should the Hall of Fame be like Thursday night?
I think the way they're doing it is better than the way they used to do it back in the days when WrestleMania was Sunday and they did it Saturday night, the night before the one and only WrestleMania show. That was a little bit tough. But you remind me of a story. My brother actually, for many years, tries to go to as many WrestleManias as he can, wherever they are. And as you know, it's a whole weekend. You got the SmackDown, the Hall of Fame, Night 1, Night 2, and then the Raw after Mania. So I'm messaging my brother on Monday Night Raw, at Raw after Mania, and I'm like, how's the house? And he's like, I'm in the hotel. And I'm like, the hotel? Why? He's like, I'm beat. Going to all these events and everything. And then I'm like, what kind of self-respecting wrestling fan are you? You should be there right now. But no, it is a long weekend, but where they have the Hall of Fame now is I think the best case scenario for the whole weekend of events they have planned.
Yeah, because it's like it is a marathon. I remember after night 1, I was like, we're gonna do that all again tomorrow. And I was saying off air, I went to WWE World, and that is like chaos. Like, if you don't like lines, just don't go, because that's all it is, standing in line. And you really can't get to do probably everything there that you'd want to.
Right.
And then you're just trying to make it to everything. It's like, got to go here. Well, I want to do this too. Oh, no, the Mania starts at 7, so it is a marathon. So we didn't stay for Raw. We never bought tickets. We're like, once Mania is over, like, that's it. I'm going home. Let's get into WrestleMania, and I want to kind of do this. Well, first, what was your overall thoughts on the shows?
I thought both nights the show was really good. But besides, the WWE experimenting with swearing, really, really good show all around. And, it not only met my expectations, but also slightly exceeded them in a couple of areas. I have to applaud them. They pulled it off. It was a good couple of nights.
Yeah, and I don't know if you watch What Culture Wrestling ever. It's a YouTube channel.
It's been a while, but I know that channel.
They have like 2 million subscribers or whatever. And I ran into Adam Wilborn at NXT. And I saw him. I go, What Culture? Turned around and waved. Got a picture with him later. And then everybody was trying to get a picture with this guy because when you go to WrestleMania, it really is those die-hard fans.
Yes.
Like an Adam Wilborn from What Culture is going to be recognized by everybody.
Right.
So I don't want to copy them too much because I did ask him and I felt bad.
Yeah.
I said, "Oh man, it's really cool. Is Simon here? Like, where's Simon?" He goes, he'll be in the parking lot at Mania. He's not here right now." I didn't want to take his thunder, but Simon is like their big guy.
Yeah.
So he does a segment called Up or Down. I'm just going to go through the matches here. You're going to either give it an up or down. Just tell me why.
Okay. Can the third answer be maybe the politician didn't carefully watch all the matches?
Yeah, it's whatever you saw.
Okay.
Or whatever you saw. So we had the first one, the women's world title. Rhea Ripley, Becky Lynch, that opened up the show. Rhea came out to the band, and I forget their name, that plays her theme music. Great entrance. Would you give this, I'll say segment match, an up or a down?
I'll give it an up. Yep. Good way to start out the show. The dedicated fans obviously know Rhea Ripley. She's on fire, been on fire for the better part of a year. And then Becky Lynch, of course, just wrote that book, so they want to get her out there, out in front, and hype the book. Good way to start out the show. Thumbs up.
All right. I am also going to give this a thumbs up. I thoroughly entertained. Was very happy when Ripley won. Still a Becky fan, but she's not what Becky was 5 years ago.
Right.
Where everybody was on the Becky Lynch train. And that happens.
Yeah.
It happens to every wrestler. Unless your name's Roman Reigns. You're going to be main eventing no matter what the audience thinks, but that's another story. Tag title match. Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. Miz and Truth. Judgment Day. The new DX. Ciampa and Gargano. Am I forgetting a team there? I might be forgetting a team. I can't think of it right now. Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate.
That's right. Yep.
Grayson Waller and Austin Theory took the SmackDown Tag Team titles. Miz and Truth took the Raw Tag Team titles. Giving this match up or down?
I'll give it an up. The surprising thing about the WWE is that they've been doing like ladder matches for 20 years, and so you can count on
Maybe 30.
maybe 30
Yeah,
years,
30.
right? You can count on them doing at least like a handful of ladder matches every year. So at this point, we're talking about like over 120 ladder matches, and I've never seen two ladder matches that are the same. So some of the spectacular maneuvers that they're doing, incorporating the ladders, and some of the strategies that the tag teams are using to get those titles. What's great about them is that you're never seeing the same thing twice. You're seeing all new ladder matches every time you see one. So for that reason, I'll give it a thumbs up.
I enjoyed it, and Miz and Truth winning, I was popping for that. I think everybody loves R-Truth. Mm-hmm. You had Rey Mysterio and Andrade versus Dirty Dom, Dominic Mysterio, and Santos Escobar. Jason Kelsey gets involved. Everybody loves Jason Kelsey. There was another player, and I'm blanking on who it was. Up or down?
The politician did not watch that match. The politician was making campaign phone calls.
Okay, and that might have been a match that people were getting their hot dog or their soda or something. I thought it was fun. I don't want to give everything, but I give it a thumbs up. I'm a big Andrade fan.
Okay.
And I'd like to see him have a bigger role in WWE. AEW didn't seem to know what to do with him. WWE has seemed not to know what to do with him in the past. So, hoping for big things for Andrade. The big match that I was looking forward to, Jimmy Uso versus Jey Uso.
I'm actually going to go ahead and give that one a thumbs up as well. I remember towards the end of the match, they were super kicking each other a lot. And everybody around here in the professional wrestling, we always joke about, oh, super kick, super kick. In their particular case, they throw the super kicks so well and so accurately that that they were actually able to tell a story with their super kicks. It's the difference between being a WWE superstar and a professional wrestler. So, thumbs up to the twins. They did their job.
Yeah, I know a lot of people were critical of this match because they expected more. I still enjoyed it. I'm giving that a thumbs up. I did like Jimmy saying, trying to apologize. And I remember yelling in the stands. I was like, the oldest trick in the book. Don't trust him. All right, big debut for Jade Cargill in ring. She teamed up with Bianca Belair and Naomi versus Damage Control. Mm-hmm. Did you catch that?
I believe I caught most of it. You see, the politician doesn't like being negative. So instead of me giving it a thumbs down, because honestly I didn't watch it, I'll just say I didn't watch this one.
Okay. I'm going to give it the thumbs up that Jade made her debut. Mm-hmm. I yelled in the stands, tough night for Tony Khan, because obviously he was hoping for her to be a big star in AEW, but now she is going to be a big star in WWE.
Right.
I don't know how it's going to go. I know people are already critical of her, but I like Jade Cargill. Intercontinental title match, Sami Zayn versus Gunther, the ring general. What did you think of that match?
I'm probably going to get kicked out of the wrestling community, but I didn't watch this one all that carefully. What I did watch was some of the build-up to this match, and I do recall like a very good documentary of Sami Zayn overcoming confidence issues and training with Chad to get ready for his match. So I saw that, and I saw the build-up for it, and I thought the build-up was pretty good. I know that Gunther finally lost the Intercontinental Championship, but no, the politician wasn't really watching that one.
That's okay. I'm giving it a thumbs up. They did very Rocky III lead up, very appropriate for being Philly. Mm-hmm. But that crowd went absolutely bonkers for Sami winning that match after a very long beatdown from Gunther. Right. And even Gunther kind of showboating at Sami's wife and things. But when he won, I mean, people are just high-fiving each other in the stands. Everybody was really excited about that. Main event, this match went about 40 minutes. The Rock, first real match in 11 years. I know that he rock-bottomed Eric Rowan at WrestleMania 32. Mm-hmm. Versus the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes and Seth freaking Rollins. Up or down?
Thumbs way up for this one. Wrestling fans and WWE fans in particular are pretty judgmental, and everyone was watching this with their eyes peeled to see how The Rock would do, and how The Rock did aligns with something the politician's learning in the wrestling business, and it's something that's really nice. Is yes, you have ring rust and so forth, and you got to stay in shape, but professional wrestling is like riding a bicycle. Once you learn how to do it, you'll never forget. And That also speaks to why professional wrestlers do this for a long, long time. It's because they love doing it and it feels great. The Rock comes back after a decade of doing other things, and he looked just like he did 20 years ago.
I thumbs up too. Rough night for the Cody crybabies like myself. You know, Cody's in the ring sitting there like he was at WrestleMania 39. So you got to be the anticipation. Now we're going into night 2, Bloodline rules. But man, it was just pure entertainment, and everybody was standing the whole time.
Right.
You know?
And I do want to say that match had a lot of shenanigans with The Rock being the boss and controlling the referee and so forth. That this whole thing that The Rock is doing, being the final boss, along with years and years ago Vince McMahon being the boss, and how reality bleeds into entertainment, those are always the best storylines that the WWE does. It's great when you watch the show and you can get behind Triple H, because Triple H isn't just an on-screen wrestler. Triple H is actually the CCO of the company. So all that stuff makes for great television, so I'm so happy for them.
Well, I think Dan Tanaka will get a charge out of this. I was not a fan of the officiating in the stands because I didn't know what The Rock had said to the official. So I'm in the stands going, "Are you serious? Are you blind? How do you not? What is happening here? What are you going to count these guys out or what?" So then we go into night 2. Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight title. Starts off the show. Starts off with a Claymore kick right at the beginning.
Yep.
CM Punk is on commentary. Up or down?
Up. I'll actually give it an up.
Same.
Yep. Drew McIntyre. I like him a lot, and the reason I like him a lot is that when he was champion during the pandemic, when you're WWE champion, they put you out doing media and doing interviews and doing all sorts of stuff. So he was doing, and in those days we're all at home and doing stuff on the computer. He was doing a lot of interviews and different shows and streaming stuff and all this different content. And the way he was doing it and the way he conducted himself then, I became like a real fan of him. Unfortunately, on the show, he's flailing around a lot. Like, he kind of has a sense of humor some weeks, and then other weeks he's like super intense, and then other weeks he's a journeyman fighter. So they gotta make sure that they give him a trajectory to stay on while he's the champion.
Yeah, and I love the attitude from him, though. Mm-hmm. Now, I like that, he's not taking crap from people, especially not CM Punk. Mm-hmm. But CM Punk did one up him here. Mm-hmm. They get into it. He hits him with his arm thing, and we had Damian Priest cashing his Money in the Bank.
Yes.
And to all the people running to the bathroom or concessions right after that match, they had to run back because they heard the music hit, and security or ushers, they don't understand wrestling and what a Money in the Bank cash-in is. So they're arguing with people to get in their seats, and it's literally ushers yelling at fans, and the fans just ignoring them and saying, "You don't understand what's happening here." What did you think of the cash-in?
It's tough to have an opinion on it. This is a big opportunity for Damian Priest, and they have been giving him opportunities for a long time. This one, the biggest opportunity, but all the opportunities they've been giving him, he's been taking them and handling them well. They wouldn't make him the quote unquote leader of a faction if they didn't want to try him out. They wouldn't make him headline the Puerto Rico show and pair him up with Bad Bunny unless they trusted him. And they wouldn't give him the strap unless they trusted him. So I'm interested to see where Damian Priest goes. Past several months, there is still a little bit of even himself, just like Drew, kind of flailing around and finding himself with the direction he wants to go, but should be interesting. Money in the Bank contract cash-ins. I'm not these days. I'm not the kind of die-hard fan where my finger's on the pulse of that all the time. So all of a sudden he's coming out. Oh my God, he's going to cash in. It's like, oh, okay, all right, sure, okay.
Would the politician cash in that way?
Would how would the politician cash in a Money in the Bank? Maybe. I would even be open to selling it to another competitor if the price is right.
All right. And I gotta say, Damian Priest is an example of inspiration because he never gave up. They said 10 years ago he was homeless and he was just working the independents and everything like that. And now to see where he's at, it's what a story.
Yes. Yeah.
Then we go to the Pride versus Final Testament. Did you watch this match? I'm wondering if
I don't think I did.
Okay. Bubba Ray Dudley was the special guest referee.
I did see like a freeze frame of that. Yep. I know who the New Testament are. Who's the other one?
Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits.
Yep.
And what's her name is with them.
Yep.
I can't think of her name right
B-Fab?
now. B-Fab, yes.
Yep. No, I didn't watch this. And it's unfortunate because it would have been something that I would have watched. But no, the politician has to spread his time between campaigning and professional wrestling.
I'm probably going to give everything a thumbs up. Maybe it's just because I was there. I enjoyed it. The crowd popped for Bubba Ray coming out. L.A. Knight, yeah. I heard that all weekend versus AJ Styles.
I thought it was a good match. Honestly, I believe who had the bad knee in that match. Do you remember?
AJ, I think. No, I don't know. Maybe it must have been LA Knight then.
Seth Rollins also had a bad knee. No, it was a good match, but WrestleMania season was like the worst thing that could happen to LA Knight's rocket ship. So hopefully coming out of WrestleMania, he's propelled back up to the top of the card. But with WrestleMania season, he gets pushed down by people like The Rock and Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins.
Well, I can
Cody
just say
Rhodes.
that crowd was super hot for him in anything that he did.
Right.
So, two guys that spent a lot of time in Impact Wrestling. I heard a lot of people in the stands saying their prime was not in WWE. AJ Styles has been there he's been there for 8 years now. And I know he's coming towards the end, but I think LA Knight, early 40s, I still think he's going to have.
Actually, one thing I do want to say about LA Knight, and this is directed at all my friends in the professional wrestling business, but the WWE has a podcast that Corey Graves does, and it's got to be several months ago by now, but LA Knight was a guest on that Corey Graves podcast, and in that LA Knight talks about how he got to the WWE and his specific journey to the WWE and how he got there is the correct way to do it. And so any of my colleagues who want some insider information on how to get to the WWE, listen to that particular podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I loved him as Eli Drake, and dummy, yeah.
Yep.
Logan Paul versus Randy Orton versus KO for the U.S. title.
Thumbs way up for that one.
I agree.
It was good. It was done well. And it didn't feel like what I initially thought, where they just added Randy Orton for some star power or to, be the ring veteran or whatever. But no, it was a good, even-handed match with all three people, and it kept your attention. It was a very good one, actually.
I loved him beating up the Prime mascot. And I don't know who that guy is, but a lot of people did. I have no idea. He's been at WrestleMania now 2 years in a row. I have no idea what his name is. I thought he was going to throw him like he did the Singh brothers, if you remember that, when Orton took care of them. But giving him RKO was good enough for me.
One other thing from the politician is that, I believe me, the politician runs political events all the time, so I know how important sponsorships are. But but the WWE shouldn't go overboard with the sponsorships. They could have changed the canvas for some of the matches so they have their own logo on it instead of the Prime logo on some of these matches for all eternity. WWE has a lot of cash. Not cash. They don't want to come off looking cheap by having the Cheetos Fireball presents Bray Wyatt's last match kind of thing.
I gotta say, Dude Wipes was the most over thing in the crowd after they were the sponsor during the Jimmy match. And for the rest of the weekend, Dude Wipes was getting cheered, which I've never used Dude Wipes. They're a big sponsor of the New England Free Jacks. And so
I'm afraid to ask. What are Dude Wipes?
I'm not actually sure. But
Okay.
the Free Jacks do wear them on their shorts. So I know what Dude Wipes is. They were really over. Bailey and Io Sky for the WWE Women's title.
I don't think I watched that one.
Yeah, I'm going to give it an up, too. I tried to get we got it a little bit going, the hey, hey, Bailey, who, ha. That was going on throughout the stadium, so. But now.
Did they do a wave?
No waves that I
Nope.
noticed, no.
You gotta be kidding me.
No beach balls, nothing. I think they probably were taking those away from people. Main event now, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns for the, now I think it's just the undisputed WWE title, but at the time when they announced it was the WWE Universal title. What did you think of that?
Thumbs up for that one, for sure. I did watch that one pretty carefully. It was very, very good. It was a nice thing where literally every single one of Roman Reigns' title defenses for the past 2.5 years, he got like outside help from the bloodline, and you go into it expecting it. With this one, they changed it up by having people on Cody's friends come out and help, like Cena and Taker. So that was a nice, slight change to what can sometimes be predictable with WWE programming. So congratulations to Cody, well deserved on winning the championship, and I thought it was a good, suitable, thumbs up main event.
Yeah, Cena coming out, really, that crowd blew up. If you can hear me on some of the videos I took, because, I was like, does Cody have any more friends that can help? Please. And then the Shield music hit.
Yeah.
And, I was like, is Dean Ambrose, like, is he coming out? Like, did they steal him away from AEW? And the best part of that whole thing was that it's been 10 years since the split of the Shield, and Roman had a chance to just KO Cody with the chair, and instead he couldn't resist hitting Seth Rollins.
Yep.
And it cost him, what did it cost him? Everything. And that moment with Cody winning the title, probably one of my all-time favorite wrestling moments, because if and I don't want to get into it, we're short on time, and I want to get into another segment, but if you know the story of Cody leaving, and why he had to do that, and what he started outside of WWE, because there's a whole other company called AEW that's a big reason they exist is Cody Rhodes. He took the bet to do that show, all in. Just knowing how that story finally is finished and what's going to happen next, I can't wait. But I've been a Cody Rhodes fan since long before Stardust. Maybe not when he first debuted, but as time went on, you start dashing Cody Rhodes and all that. He just said this guy is going to be he's a star, and they just never pulled the trigger on it. And now to see where he's at and what he had to go through to get there, it's another inspirational story.
For me, Stardust is my favorite incarnation of Cody Rhodes. he in one of the recent documentaries on him, he did talk about how it wasn't his cup of tea, but he went at it full force and did his job and was convincing all around with it. That's my favorite version of Cody.
I thought that was going to be a month. When they debuted that, I know the Rhodes brothers were struggling, and he went and I said, "Don't do this," because I was never a fan of Stardust. But I was like, I'll give this a chance for like a month, maybe 2 months, and then it went on for years, and it was like, what are you guys doing? I used to do a wrestling blog, and when he lost to the Big Show at WrestleMania 28, I said Cody Rhodes should be the next world champion. And then he gets even more over when, they beat the Shield. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy's going to the main event. And it just didn't happen. They just didn't see it. Mm-hmm. Cody, I had your back the whole time. I saw it, and it was a pleasure to see him wrestle in this area and get to meet him in his time away from WWE.
Yep.
I want to get into some buy or sell here. Lucky Pro edition.
Yes, okay, yep.
I'm going to name some wrestlers. You tell me if you're buying or selling them. First one, we've talked about him a little bit. Leo Sparrow, buy or sell?
Leo Sparrow, buy. Leo Sparrow is a great young man, very good kid, and like Bubba Ray said, the sky's the limit.
Recently made a return in November. He was hurt for a little while. Vern Vicalo.
Vern Vicalo, there's another guy who the politician likes. I was actually recently in a Rumble somewhere, and Vern and I were trading shots. So yeah, he's back in full force here.
That's good to see.
Yeah,
he's a good guy. The champion who no-showed the match with Shane Douglas. I think he had a prior commitment or something. Coach Mikey Webb.
Mikey Webb. There's another guy too. Thumbs up. What are we doing? Thumbs up or down? Buy or sell?
Buy or sell.
Buy or sell. Buy.
Are you proud that he's your champion in Lucky Pro?
The politician is going to be going for some gold pretty soon all over the place. So be sure to follow the politician to stay up to date on the latest happenings of the campaign. But Coach Mikey Webb, in all seriousness, he is one of the pillars of Lucky Pro Wrestling. And, he's experienced and he's also really good about, guiding the younger guys and helping them with some things. So in that regard, he's a very good champion.
All right. I don't think he's a full-time Lucky Pro guy, but he's there. And I call him the GOAT of New England, the Kingpin, Brian Malonis.
Brian Malonis. There's another guy. The politician has had a lot of interactions with Brian Malonis. Another ring veteran here in the New England area. And I've been in Rumbles and Battle Royals with Brian Malonis before. And, there really is a difference between a wrestler who's been doing this a couple of years and a wrestler who's been doing this for over 20 years. And working with guys like that, you can pick up a lot of little tips and tricks just by working with them. So that's been absolutely great.
Yeah, Brian's awesome, and he's been around a long time, but he's always stayed relevant in this area. Mm-hmm. He's just a great talent. Female wrestlers, Luscious Latasha.
Luscious Latasha. There's a great young lady. She's a hard worker too, and she pulls everything off. Currently, she is the WFA Women's Champion, and she's been having a little bit of an issue with Elle Valentine, and their matches in WFA have been absolutely great, and Luscious does everything perfectly inside the squared circle. Can't be more happy for her.
What about a tag team, Social Influence?
Social Influence, yep. You got TKO and Ken Powers. I've known those guys ever since I got into the business. I was actually at Ken Powers' first wrestling match.
Okay.
And I'm watching this big young man, power lifter, leaning over, and he has a whole fan section. They're going crazy. Turns out it was his family. His family came to his first match. And I ended up talking to him. It's like, yeah, it was my first match. Like, I couldn't believe it. That was like fantastic. That was great. So Ken's been making the rounds in TKO. TKO. You should see him out there with the camera doing his shtick. Great stuff. Great stuff.
Last one I want to ask. This guy is a guy we've had on the show. I'm a big fan of his. Kind of him and Mark Sherman really pulled me into independent wrestling in New England. The king of dad style now, but he was that guy, Scotty Slade. What are your thoughts on him, buy or sell?
Scotty Slade. Scotty Slade. He's a pretty smart cat. He's attached himself to the politician in recent months. He's always in the politician's ear and sticking around the politician. And I don't know. I think something might happen with Scotty Slade, the king of dad style, and the politician in the later part of the year. We'll see. But no, he's a great guy, great sense of humor. I actually share color commentary duties with him for Atlantic Pro Wrestling, and nothing but great things to say about him.
All right, awesome. Well, the politician, I really appreciate you coming on the show today. This has been a blast.
Thank you for having me, Dan.
Yeah, always fun as always. Everybody out there, have a great week. Keep your heads up. Until next time, let freedom ring.